Hello, hello. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Let me know in the comments if you are watching live or if you're watching the replay, put replay so I know that you're watching later on. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I'm going to be talking about how to start your influencer business from scratch. So first of all, I want to know, are you starting from scratch? Did you just start your Instagram or blog? Jennifer's here. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? So some of you guys know you've been able to catch me live. I do repurpose these videos for the podcast. So I'll be doing an intro and an outro, but I'll be commenting and engaging with you guys as well. That's what I love about going live. So Miriam's here. Stevie's here, Jennifer. Hey guys, thank you so much for coming. So let me know in the comments, are you just starting out new? Like that you were just starting out, maybe you've been, this is like your first year. I wanna know where everyone's at in the comments, like how many years or months, or if you're brand new. Or maybe you kind of started but didn't stay consistent, so you're restarting. I know a lot of us, now that we have some more extra time at home, people are just restarting. So we have some people starting from scratch. We have some people with 1,200 followers. Right. So I mean intentionally growing your influencer business. So that's what I mean when I say starting from scratch. So maybe you've already been posting on Instagram and all your friends are following you, but you've actually made the decision that this is a business and you're going to make this into a business. So Amanda's starting out new, Jenna a little bit of a start, brand new, you've never done this. Stevie says, I've been in business for almost 11 years, but did a rebrand. Got it. Amazing. Okay, great. So welcome to the Spark Show. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about how to start your influencer business from scratch. So this is for those of you who are brand new, you are just starting to get serious about creating your online business, growing your following, and monetizing. So in this episode, I'll be covering the 3 things you need to know before starting your influencer business, the number 1 mistake most influencers make and how to avoid it, and my 3 biggest influencers lessons that you can learn from today. So first of all, thank you for watching live. I see a lot of people say, I'm pretty new, I've collabed with some brands. Amazing, Jennifer just joined the Spark Society. Hey, Christine. Yeah, so I'd love to know who here's a member of the Spark Society. Maybe you're new to me, you just watched my free class. Maybe this is the first time ever, you know nothing about me. Let me know in the comments how our interaction has been so far, if this is the first live you've seen. So first of all, let's talk about the 3 things you need to know before starting your influencer business. And if you've already started, that's fine, but this is where a lot of people fail to spend time on because they haven't put the foundation in place. So they're having a hard time growing and they're having a hard time monetizing because they don't have that foundation in place. And for my foundation, I like to call it ABCs of influence. This is what I teach in the Spark Society. For those of you who are my students, you guys know what the ABCs are. And this is where you need to focus on if you're just starting out or if you're just starting out to make this a business, right? So ABCs are audience, brand, and content, right? I say brand or branding, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So audience, branding, content, or audience, branding, content. So let's talk about audience first. So this is the most important, right? So the whole reason you want to influence people and impact people is because you want to have a positive impact on your audience, right? So you need to know who your audience is, right? Raise your hand in the comments, put a hand emoji in the comments if you know who your audience is. You need to know who you want to help, right? Because that's the only way you can communicate with them effectively. If you already have an audience, this is where you can go into your analytics, and this is why you should have a creator business account and actually see who's following you. Who are they? How old are they? What location are they at? Are they, what gender are they? You can see all of these things, and this is part of having a business, is knowing who your customers are, right? Your followers are your customers, so you need to know who they are. You have to see if Are the people who are following you the people you want to be following you? So you have to be asking these questions all the time. So let's see. Jacqueline knows who her audience is. Kylie knows who her audience is. Amanda does. And even if you think you know, right, you have to actually go in there and look at the data and not just go by, oh, I think women are following me, or I think, women at this age range are following me. You actually have to go in there and check. You actually have to do the work of looking on who your audience is. And if it's not your ideal audience, like I have a lot of women, I don't know if you guys have this issue, who tell me, oh my God, I have a lot of followers, but they're mostly men. And there are a lot of men, creepers maybe, saying like, commenting on how pretty and beautiful they are, but really they want to talk to a female audience, right? And so you kind of have to know where your brand is at right now as far as your audience is. And that's going to be the first thing I want you to do, is really looking at who is your audience, who do you want to help, and how can you make sure you have a targeted audience, right? So that's number one of ABC. The second one is your brand. So a lot of influencers just skip this all together, right? You as an influencer, as a business, you have a brand, right? And you need to define who you are as a brand. So most influencers skip this step because they're like, oh, I'm not a business, I'm not a brand. But you are. And that's what's going to that's what's going to let you stand out from every person out there, because you have a unique brand, right? Most influencers, they just start posting stuff and they're wondering, why are they not growing and monetizing? It's because your brand isn't clear to the people who are following you. So think of all the brands you follow and buy. It's usually because you're aligned with that brand's core values. You resonate with them on an emotional level. Sometimes it's not even because they have the best product, but you agree with what they stand for. So let me know in the comments, do you have a brand mission statement? Do you have a brand value proposition? This is what some of my students are working on right now, is making sure they have a clear brand identity so that when they start growing and monetizing, or if they want to start growing and monetizing, it becomes easier because it's clear who they are as a brand. So let me know in their comments. Put brand in there if you know, or if you need to work on your brand. And it's okay. And this is why I'm here, right? This is why I help influencers do this, because a lot of people, they're posting and they're content creators, but they're not really thinking of it as a business perspective, right? They're not really, travel and lifestyle is not the only thing. Like, that's just a niche, but that's not your brand, right? Your brand needs to have a mission statement. It needs to have core values. It needs to have an identity. It needs to have more than what are you talking about, right? It has to have all these things. If you go to any major brand out there, they have branding teams that work on this branding identity, and influencers should do it too. Kylie says need to work on it then. Amazing. Yeah, you need to work on having all these things together, because this is the foundation you need to actually have an influencer business. The third part, A, B, and C, is content, right? As influencers, our content is our bread and butter. Without creating content, we won't be able to attract followers, grow, and monetize. So you have to have a content strategy in place. Just posting stuff and hoping people like it is not a strategy. Posting content, crossing your fingers, and hoping a brand will reach out to you someday is not a strategy. So let me know in the comments, do you have a strategy, or do you need a content strategy? Let me know honestly. It's okay if you don't have one yet. That's what I teach. I have taught so many influencers how to have a content strategy, so I know most of them don't have one. And this is why people are like, it's so hard to stay consistent. I don't know how to monetize. Brands won't pay me. It's because you don't have a strategy in place, and that's totally fine. Maybe you just don't have one yet in place, but if you did, you would be able to grow and monetize, right? So you have to be strategic with your content here. You want to make sure it's communicating the right message to the right followers and the right brands who want to work with you, right? If you're selling products and services, your content is supposed to create curiosity, desire and demand for what you are selling. So before you even start thinking about growth and monetizing, you have to have your ABCs in place: audience, branding, and content. And this is what I teach inside the Spark Society. I could see the comments earlier that some of you are members, so you guys know what I'm talking about. We go through this in detail so that you have a solid foundation set up, right, to start growing and monetizing. Yes, Veronica, a content calendar is, but the strategy is what goes into your content calendar. Do you have like the right ratio for organic and sponsored content, right? Are you sharing content about your brand and your audience? So Veronica, I know you're a member. I remember your name and I know your photo, so I know who Jennifer is like, who else is taking hella notes right now? Yeah, so Veronica, you are a member, so if you go through the ABCs, all of this is in there. And if you go through my Content 365 course, that means that you should have a content strategy, a content roadmap, and a content plan, right? So for those of you guys who are in the Spark Society, you have access to my Content 365 course, and that is how you create an influencer content strategy that will help you grow your following and monetize, whether that's through brand deals or if you're selling your own products and services. Yay! Awesome. So let's move on to the number one mistake most new influencers make. So a lot of influencers out there are worried about posting and putting themselves out there and about what people are gonna say. Let's be honest. Let me know in the comments who is kind of scared a little bit about putting yourself out there as an influencer and what people are going to say if they see you posting that. What your old classmates, people in high school, your old coworkers, your family members, and sometimes you also get stuck in the details, trying to get things right and perfect. And sometimes you're over obsessing about everything that you don't even end up posting it. Let me know if that sounds familiar. Sometimes you overcomplicate things by wanting to have a blog, a podcast, a YouTube, an Instagram, a Pinterest, a TikTok, and all of the things, and then nothing comes out of it. You get stuck in the overwhelm. Does that sound familiar to any of you guys? Okay, Jenna says, I'm worried that I'll say too much. Emily says, me. Victoria, I am family always teases me, right? So, and that's the biggest mistake most influencers make, is getting stuck in the things that don't actually matter, right? Which is other people's opinions and trying to do so many things at once. So if you are just starting out, you want to just focus on one thing, right? For some of you, that can mean just one platform, like Instagram. Then once you're doing that consistently, then adding another platform like a blog that you create content for once a week. Some people do it the other way around. You start a blog first, and then once you're consistent posting once a week, then you do Instagram. I don't recommend you doing all the platforms all at once, because I know what will happen. You probably won't end up doing any of that, right? So I don't want you doing any of that. Just try one thing, and then once you are consistent, then you can add another platform, right? And if you're stuck because you're afraid of what people are gonna say, I'm talking to you, then you got to make a choice here, right? It's a daily choice, a choice in every moment. You can stay safe and small with no one judging you, or you can put yourself out there and help people, right? No one who helped a lot of people did it without avoiding judgment, right? They are going to judge you anyway. That's human nature. We judge everyone at every time. When we see them, we can't help it. It's just human. It's a survival mechanism. But you have a choice. So I want you to tell me in the comments, what are you choosing? Are you going to choose to stay safe and small with no one judging you, or do you want to help people? Right? And trust me, I've gotten all of it. I've gotten trolls, I've gotten nasty emails, but I can't let that stop me from helping you, the person that I know I can help, right? So that is what I want to share with you, the mistake that, I want to share with you my biggest lessons as an influencer and entrepreneur for the last 5 years. So one of them is, I talked about earlier, you have to have a strategy and monetization plan in place, right? If you're just starting out, you probably don't have one of these, and that's totally okay. But if you want to have a business, it means you need to know how you're going to make money, right? Because if you're not making money, it's not a business, it's a hobby. So let me know in the comments, are you doing this as a business or a hobby? And like put it out there in the universe that if this is going to be a business and you're going to monetize it and you're going to make money and this is what you're going to do, put business in the comments. And if it's a hobby, that's totally fine too. That's actually better and easier because you don't have to stress about making money. But if you're like me and you want to make this your full-time thing and you want to pay yourself a salary, you want to hire a team, you want to have a multi-million-dollar empire with a bunch of product lines, then you got to make sure you know how you're going to get there, right? Because if you don't know how you're going to make money and you're just posting stuff on Instagram, then that doesn't get you anywhere, right? You guys might have heard the quote, begin with the end in mind, right? If the end goal is have a multi-million-dollar business and a team and all of that, then you have to, what are the steps you're going to take to get there, right? And so my students in the Spark Society, you guys have seen this. I make you go through this right when you start the success path, right? You have the success path of what steps you need to take. You have stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you know how to get to stage 5, which is monetize your influence, right? So let me know in the chat if you're one of my students and you've seen the success path and you know what stage you're on and how much clarity that gave you, right? So it was the same thing with me. I had no idea how to monetize my blog. I had no idea how I was going to monetize my Instagram, but I had to have a plan and a path that I could see in my mind so I knew that it was possible. Because if we don't know it's possible, then we're never going to get there, right? If we don't know what that end goal is, the finish line, if we can't see the finish line, we can't get to the finish line, right? We're kind of just blind and just like walking endlessly or, like aimlessly with no direction in mind. So let me know if you need that direction. Let me know if you need that clarity, or do you know the steps you're going to take? So a lot of people, my biggest lesson as an influencer is having that plan and having that strategy so I knew where my business is going. And trust me, when you have that clarity, it's going to be easier to get there and to achieve those goals. Okay. So most businesses, they don't make money right away, right? And that's totally fine. Why? Because you have all this initial sometimes cost. Like if you think about running a restaurant, you have to open up the restaurant. You have to have all of this. And the great thing about an online business is you have minimal costs. Yeah, you might have to pay for domain hosting, your blog. Maybe you are going to buy some apps for editing. Maybe you're going to buy like a phone. So there's minimal costs, which is still much less than having a retail business, right? So it's okay that you don't make money right away, but you at least have an idea of how and when it's going to happen, right? Most influencers skip this step and just start posting content, cross their fingers and hope they start making some money somehow. And you got to get familiar with all the potential revenue streams because as you may know, brand deals is just one of those revenue streams. There are multiple revenue streams once you have an audience. And this is what I help my students with inside the Spark Society. As long as you could see, we have some people that are saying, I'm on the brand boss stage. Amazing. Okay. So if you do want to work for yourself and do this full time and be your own boss and create your own company, you can do that, but you have to have a plan in place. So let me know in the comments if you need to have a business plan in place. Put business plan in the comments. I know a lot of you are still like, I need a content strategy. I need a business plan. And that's great. Awareness is the first step. Now that you know what you need, then you can take the steps to get there, right? The second lesson is done is better than perfect. Are there any other recovering perfectionists out there? So I'm a recovering perfectionist and I've realized that done is better than perfect, right? When you become aware that there's no such thing as perfect, then you stop chasing that impossible reality. So if you haven't listened to episode 11 of the Spark Show yet, where I talk about perfection is a scam, I want you to take the time to listen to that this week. If you are struggling with perfectionism, because trust me, you waste a lot of time trying to get things perfect when it can never be perfect, and instead you could be helping a lot of people and reaching a lot of people. So again, back to that choice of, are you going to stay small and safe where no one's going to judge you, or are you going to help people? And that comes with risk, and a lot of fears might come up, but the reward is worth it, right? If you can help people because, you put yourself out there, then that's okay if there's going to be other people who don't understand it and don't resonate with it, right? And lastly, the third lesson is, it's not about me, it's about them. So this is a big one, right? Sometimes as humans, we get into our own heads of the way we want things to be. Let me know in the comments if you have times where just like you're in your head, you want to do it, and then you're like, you start doubting yourself, and then you have all this negative self-talk, and you're like, wait, should I do this? Or who am I to do this? What are people gonna say? But what we don't realize is most of our followers don't care about our hair is messed up, or if our makeup is perfect, that the photo doesn't show our good side. They only follow us because usually they resonate with our values, our message, and our personality, and not really what we look like and what they think we're obsessing of, but it's really they like us because of something that they resonate with on an emotional level, right? So when you start thinking about that, I want you to have an honest conversation with yourself, a little slap in the face, which is, it's not about me. It's about them and the people I want to help. And I only work with influencers who care about making an impact, where it's not about the followers and the number of likes and all of the free stuff. It's about helping people. That's why I always say selling is serving, because we're trying to help people here. Because it's what we post is not about us. It's about what they need to hear, and it's about like making an impact and helping those people who are there listening. So I'm gonna do my outro right now, and then I'll go into the comments and answer some questions. So thank you guys so much for listening to the Spark Show, and I will see you in the next episode. All right, so I am gonna go look at this. Jody says, oh yeah, recovering in my headaholic. Yes. So Jody, if you are struggling, with self-talk and perfectionism, I have a lot of podcast episodes on the Spark Show that you can listen to, where I talk about finding your focus. I talk about playing small is selfish. That's one of my most popular episodes is, if you keep playing small, and then you're not going to be able to help people, right? And so you have to make the choice of what is it you want to do in this life. And if it is to help people, then you got to get out of your own head, right? So all the time. Veronica says, need a business plan. Jennifer, business plan. Amazing. So a lot of you need a business plan. This is exactly what I teach, because a lot of influencers don't bother to do this stuff, right? The content strategy, the monetization plan, the branding, all of that is necessary to build a business, and not just an influencer business, any business, right? A bunch of you here said that you have your own businesses, and I'm sure all of you have gone through that or know that at one point or the other you do need to go through that, right? Okay, great. So Jody says, yes, you are badass. Yes, that's definitely on my list of recommended readings. Amazing. Sierra, I'm in my head lately thinking, why would they care what I think? Yeah, so again, you have to make a choice in that moment of, are you going to worry about what people think, or are you going to help people? And if you are going to choose B, then you have to move forward and stop staying in your head, right? So we are never stuck, right? So we are never stuck. We get to decide. We're not trees, right? I think there was a t-shirt or something that says we're never stuck because we're not trees, we can move, right? So we can move our thoughts on what we want to think and do, right? And what actions we want to create. So I know that a lot of us say, I'm stuck, I get stuck. And sometimes when you say those things, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Then you are stuck. Okay. And so how I coach people is I say, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I tell them, okay, where do you want to go? So what is the first step you need to take to get there? So you have a choice to take that step or to stay stuck, right? And so it comes to the point where you have to have an honest conversation of, are you really stuck? No, you're not. You are purposely keeping yourself somewhere because you don't want to be judged or because you don't want to fail. And that's totally fine because that is scary. But if you stay there, nothing is going to happen, right? You are going to be stuck, right? But you are not, you have